Jai Gurudev. There comes a time in your path, in your growth, in your life, where all it's about is freedom. You will reach the point where you understand nothing will ever feed your soul except the soul itself. There is nothing in this world, there is no one in this world that will ever give you what you're looking for. And that's why you have to keep looking. It's really simple. You know, you can talk about it, analyze it, write books, but it's very simple. You're not okay in there. You know what it means to be okay? Those rare moments when the sun is setting and your mind shuts up and there is not a thought in your mind and you just melt into the beauty of what you're seeing. That's what it means to be okay. How do I know? There's no one in there complaining. There's no one in there figuring out what to do. There's no one in there doing anything. What happened to them? They're okay. They're okay. You know, that's how it happens. A baby cries because they're hungry. How do you know that they're got fed? They stop crying. It's very simple stuff. It's not hard. Inside, you're crying. You don't realize it. You're always crying. You cry through the voice of your mind. That is your heart crying. So the voice of your crying sounds like this. What will I do? Oh my God. If I ask her out, she might come, but if she doesn't, I'll be so embarrassed. I don't know what. That's your voice of your crying. That's what it is. You're not okay. So the mind is crying out, make me okay. I need something. I'm afraid of something. Something's not right. I need to fix it. I need someone to help me. I need my finances fixed. I need this. I need that. I just am not okay, and I need to be fed. I need to get taken care of. I need to change things. I need to somehow get things in a way that I'm okay. Never happens. Never will happen. Has never ever happened to anyone. Not the richest person. Not the most beautiful or handsome person. Not the most popular person. Not the most powerful person. None of them. You cannot feed your soul from out here. It doesn't make it back there. It doesn't work. The only thing you can feed from out here is your mind. And it's really easy to see that. The reason is, when the soul is not okay, which you feel through your heart, but it's really your deep inner being lost, expresses itself through the heart. When that is not okay, it turns to the mind to find out what to do. How would it know what to do? It's just a feeling. A feeling doesn't know anything. Like feelings are helpless. That's what happens when you fall into your emotion. You become helpless, don't you? The mind, on the other hand, it has a shot at it. It's got reason, logic, past experiences. It's seen images of what it might look like. It can emulate minds. You know, it can analyze a darn thing and come up with something. Okay? Mind doesn't have to lie there being jealous, or lie there being afraid, or lie there, oh. But that's all the heart can do. The heart wouldn't know. What would the heart know what to do? It doesn't know what to do. That's why it goes to the mind. Where do you go when your heart hurts? Where do you go if you're alone? To your mind. Why? So the mind can figure out what to do about it. Well, you should move to a place where there's more people, or you could do this kind of thing. It just comes up with stuff. Try something different. Buy a new car. Change your clothes. Do your hair. Whatever. Anything. Everything. That is the mind. Because the mind has the ability to think and try things on and analyze and so on, that is where the discontentment goes. Your mind is the voice of your heart's discontentment. You know which mind I'm talking about, not the 2 + 2. That's a calculator. That one's okay, all right? Your personal mind, the one that's thinking about your life, the one that's thinking about what you need, the one that's thinking about what you like, the one that's thinking about what you don't like, all of that. Your mind is the voice of your heart and soul's discontentment, crying out. Because of that, and because the only thing the mind knows anything about is what came in through its senses, that's the fuel, the fodder that it has to work with. When you go to it and you say, what should I do? It tries to see what experiences it's had. It's tried to see what other experiences other people have told it. All the stuff that came in through the senses got stored in the mind. They become the data. And then the mind plays with it and tries to come up with something that says, if this will happen, then you'll be okay. Doesn't it say that? If you just meet the right person, if you just change the job, if you just lose some weight, if you just get some body sculpting, if you just get to go to Europe, you've never been, that will do it for sure. If you have another baby, or maybe even the first baby, okay? If people would just respect you more, if you could just get people to take you seriously, if we could just do this, then it would all be okay. That is what it's saying in there. If you just didn't have to do this, if this problem would just go away, then it'd be okay. That's what everything is saying. That proves what I'm saying. You're not okay. That's why everything is saying is, if this would happen, then I'd be okay. So the underlying discontentment goes to the mind. The mind uses the data it's received from the outside. So of course the mind's going to talk about the outside. That's the only thing it knows. And so it comes up with solutions, thinks are solutions, to what needs to change outside, what needs to happen outside. People, places, things, situations, future, past, anything. What needs to change so that you're okay? It's that simple. That's all the mind ever talks about. What needs to change so that I'm okay? The problem is, since the mind, in truth, is dealing with itself outside, it created these conditions, and now it's looking for them. And so it's out there in this world dancing with itself. That has nothing to do with the heart. It doesn't. That's why so many things happen outside and they don't really fix anything. It just comes up with another thing. Now you met somebody. God, I hope he keeps his job. I don't want a deadbeat for something goes on. I hope he likes the kids, or I hope she wants to have kids. I mean, I know I just said I wanted somebody. I forgot to ask for kids. I want to have kids. I'm serious. But I hope she don't want kids. I never really want to have kids. I just want to have a relationship. And it's hard to find somebody who wants a serious relationship and not have kids. Like, this is where it goes. This is what it is. When you reach the point where you don't see it as this particular instant, oh yeah, it didn't work. I thought the new car would do it. Yeah, you're right, Mick, it just didn't do it. Or, just another relationship and that got there. Or a little more finances, or whatever it is. Or somebody saying they're sorry. Or someone leaving you alone that was bothering you, or whatever it is, right? It doesn't do it. And you say, well, okay, I see, you're right, that didn't do it. No, that's not good enough. You reach the point eventually, I will not put a time frame on it, that's up to you. You reach the point eventually where you get it. It's not going to do it, but the IT is capital. It means the process of the heart going to the mind using the data that it collected through the senses to put together potential solutions, and then going out there to try and make the world be that way. That's what's not going to work. Not any one particular thing. Not any one particular aspect of it. All of it. Even the stuff you haven't even tried yet. The process doesn't work. You catch on. At that point, an amazing thing happens. You look and you realize that whole thing never worked. And it never is going to work. But here I am. What am I going to do? Because I'm not okay. And you realize, I have to get out. I have to get away from the part of me that's not okay. This is the awakening of the soul, separating itself, extricating itself from the problems of the human heart. What happens when you're not so busy pushing out to try to make the solution work, which will never work. Come on, enough. How many times are you going to beat your head against the wall before you find out it doesn't help? So then what are you going to do? You realize eventually that you are the consciousness that is aware of and watching the problems of your heart. And your only way out is to pull back behind them, not to go out there and try to solve them. There is no solution to them. Your grace is not that God figures out a way to solve the problems of why you're not okay. The grace is that you're not your problems. You are the one that's experiencing your problem. No matter what problem you're having, you're the one who's having it. You're not it. You're the witness, the consciousness, the awareness of being that is aware that this discomfort, this disturbance, this not okayness is going on inside of you. You will reach a point where instead of the recognition of these problems, of this not okayness, pushing you up into the mind and then out into the world, it pushes you back into the self. Why would you want to go down there? Why would you want to involve yourself in something that there is no solution to the way you've been doing it? When in truth you can realize that there is a complete solution of the problem. Liberation. Free yourself from your attachment to the part of your being that has this problem. There is a part of your being that is not okay. You're not that part. You watch that part. You are aware of that part. You room with it, if you will. It's your roommate. It's sort of like this. Let's say you had a roommate and they were really a mess. I mean, like way out there. And you've done everything you can to try and help. Okay? And everything you do, no matter what you do or what you come up with, they tear it down. Well, you got a choice. You're not bound to the room. You're not bound to the roommate. There's another way out, and that is out. And that's what liberation is. You free yourself from yourself. You free yourself from yourself. Instead of sitting there saying that this thing that is insatiable and can't solve its problems in the outside world, that you are going to sit there and bind yourself to that until it's okay. The true yoga, the true depth, is when you're willing to say it will never be okay, and that's okay. That's okay with me that it will never be okay. That's when it will be okay. But you don't get that. You won't know that till the end, and that's why I don't usually tell you that. I usually tell you, I shouldn't have said what I said. I usually tell you it'll never be okay, and that's okay. You look at me and say, really? I don't have to make it okay? You don't have to make it okay. It'll never be okay. Just be okay with the fact that it's not okay. Don't go out there and try and solve it. Don't go make big messes out of things. Let the mess stay inside. Let it spread out. Right? It's bad enough it's in there. Okay? You don't go hand it out, let everybody share it. You know, I'm really having a problem, and I just feel so lonely, and I don't feel loved, and I just really appreciate you sitting there listening to me, right? Okay, very good. You feel better? Right? And you say, it did help. I do feel better. Okay, I want to see you in 2 days whether your loneliness went away because you had that talk. Because the answer is not a chance. It didn't solve anything. It just released some energy. You shared some energy out. When are you going to get ready for real solutions? Real solutions. Liberation, in the end, is the only solution to your problems. You all think of liberation as romantic. You know, these masters went to these high states. Don't think of it that way. Think of what it is. You're caught in there. You're in big trouble. Because you have a problem that can't be solved the way you're trying to solve it. You know that. You just don't want to admit it. You know, you've been in there. How long have you been in there? You still got problems from kindergarten. Even the psychiatrists agree with me. You got junk in there. You forget your current problems, right? When they're not bothering you, then the earlier ones do. When they're not bothering you, then the really big ones come up. You know what's really stored in there? You didn't store your problems. Your problem is that you're not okay, and you've never been okay. What you stored in there is your failures when you tried to satisfy your problem. That's what those experiences are that you stored in. They're not your problem. Your problem is that you were not okay, therefore you had these tremendous needs and attachments and clinging to people, places, and things. And when they did not behave or have circumstances that fit your needs, you got badly hurt, didn't you? You were trying to solve your core problem, and then that became a problem. That's what you're calling a problem. Your psychological problems are 3 layers out. It's your core problems, the core underlying problems that I'm not okay. And so you eventually get to the point where you realize the only solution to your real problem, which is the only solution to your problem, is your freedom. Is you must find your being, your essence, which is okay. The moment you find the essence part of you that is okay, you will never again have to deal with the part of you that isn't okay. Can it be there? Sure, it can be there. Kleenex is there, glasses are there, pianos are there, parts of you that are not okay are there. So what? Who cares? You're okay. There is a place inside of you where you are okay. You have touched it at rare moments in your life, such as when the sun is setting, you turn the corner, and like your whole mind goes by, you just overcomes you. Such as rare moments when you're at the early stages of a love relationship. They call it the honeymoon stage, where you haven't found out that he doesn't put the toilet seat down, and all the very important things that ruin it, okay? And before it got personal. It always becomes personal, doesn't it? And when it becomes personal, what happens? It becomes a problem. That which you thought was going to be a solution becomes devoured by the problem, and it just becomes part of the problem. Once it becomes personal, the honeymoon's over, because you're now using it to try to solve your problem. And I told you it doesn't work. But there are moments where it catches you by surprise. You just fall in love, something happens. And before you can figure out how to ruin it, there are moments where you sit in somebody's presence and it's like the sunset. You just melted. You're just not there. It's just like, whoa. That place of well-being, what do you want to call that? Maslow called it a peak experience. Remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Right? He had all these little hierarchy of needs. And he had ding, peak experience. Right? Rare. He says some people only one in a lifetime, if any. Right? You are always in there. Always. That place of love, that place of peace, that place of complete harmony, complete utter contentment, at all times is always inside of you. Period. The only reason it only comes out at these peak moments, the beautiful sunset that overwhelms you, the love that catches you by surprise, the first time you hold your child, there's just these moments. Why? You have these peak experiences not because of the particular situation that's taking place outside. It is not because of the sunset. It is not because of the baby. It is not because of the marriage. It is because your mind gave you the grace of getting the heck out of the way during that moment. Rare as it is, it said, oh, okay, throw the dog a bone. Give her something, give him something, right? We'll shut up for a second, right? Because you'll notice during those peak experiences, there's no mind. Because while there's mind, you ain't having a peak experience. Because the mind steals the Shakti, and it pulls you down to its level. When the mind suspends, you can feel the natural energies rush up inside you from the core of your being. And that's what that deep love is, and that's what that great beauty of nature is. All right, that is always inside of you. Always. Now, when you reach the point in your growth where you realize just those two things we just talked about, that's all you have to realize. That's the deepest knowledge there is. One, that is always inside of you, and the only reason you're not feeling it all the time is because of your mind. And the second is that your mind's attempt to solve the problems of the heart don't work. So it's like, which do you want? The extreme of absolute perfection, beauty works all the time and there's nothing that can fail, or that which is guaranteed to fail. It's like we're running out there using the very mind that is causing the problem to try to solve the problem. It's not going to solve the problem. It's just going to make it worse. And that's all it does. You get neurotic. I don't know what to do now. I tried this and now it's not working and I can't even think of anything and now I'm really messed up. You just went the wrong way. You went out instead of in. The solution is inside, not outside. There is no solution outside. So you reach the point when the only thing it's about is getting closer to, returning to, never leaving the deepest place you can find inside of you, and then going deeper. Every minute of every day. Makes sense, because we said that's the only way you're going to be okay. To be okay. You're not going to make it be okay. You can just be okay. Go to the place that's okay. Return to the source, which is okay. But there's this constant tendency, to touch it again. To think that this is different, that this matters, that I can't be okay if this is this way, and I can't be okay unless this is this way. And let me just take care of this first, and once I take care of it, then I'll worry about that kind of thing. That don't work. It has to have reached the point where it says, I see it's not going to work. I don't even want to try it anymore. It's not going to work. Doesn't mean you leave the world. You get that eventually. Doesn't mean you don't get married. Doesn't mean you don't have children. It means you don't do it for that reason. You don't do it for the reason of solving the problem with the part of you that's not okay. It may happen anyways. That's fine. So don't get scared. Leave it alone for a minute. You, being an intelligent being, just don't ever forget that what you're about to do to solve your problem is not going to work. It can't. Because it's just the mind dreaming up what it thinks the world needs to be for the heart to be okay. Wrong. It's wrong every single time. So I'll do it this way. There is such a place where you reach that point, where no longer is your response and reaction to your problems or your desires to go out and change things so that you'll be okay. Because you know if it's not this, it'll be something else. Isn't it? It's just endless. It will never stop. And you decide, I want to live deeper. I do not want to be like that little hamster that has to run around that little wheel. And what does it mean to live deeper? Then now you bring back, there is a place inside of me that's really beautiful where I am okay. Let me return to that. That's what I want to do. That's what you want to do on Sunday in the morning for church? No. That's what you want to do in the morning when you wake up and meditate? No. That's what I want to do with my life. This thing that you do about dreaming up your solutions and then going and doing them, that's what you do with your life, isn't it? You've done it with your whole life. Dreamt up what you think it needs to be for you to be okay, and then go out and try and make it happen. All right? What it is you try to stop from happening, what it is you try to make happen, that's your life. This has to be your life. Liberation is something you dabble with. It's not something you get into. It's not a hobby. It's not a belief structure. It is the replacement to that other thing. It's big, isn't it? It's bigger than most people can get their minds around. It's like I told you, if a fish is in the water, it doesn't know it's in the water. It can see, seaweed and other fish, but it can't see water because it has no frame of reference that it's ever been out of the water. And until you have a frame of reference, you can't get your mind around it. Can you get your mind around what I'm talking about? That this whole thing your mind thinks about day in and day out all the time and has been doing it forever is what I'm talking about replacing. That's the part that doesn't work. That whole process of being human. There, I said it. I mean, that's a human being, right? That's what a human being does. They use the computer gift of their mind to try to solve the problems of their heart. And they come up with some weird stuff, don't they? It's unbelievable what goes on out there, isn't it? Fine. The question is, can anyone ever, anywheres, decide to replace that entire process of trying to solve your problem that way with a total another way, which is, I want to get behind the part of me that's not okay, not serve the part of me that's not okay. And I'm telling you, the only way out is when it's full-time. And I mean full-time. I mean exactly the amount of time that you did the other way, you do this. All the time. There's never a moment you're not out there figuring it out, manipulating it, playing your little games, wondering whether to talk or not to talk, or what should you wear, or what should you say, or should you call him back earlier or later. There's not a moment it's not doing that. You got it? There's not a moment it's not doing this. That's what it means to be on a spiritual path. You've changed direction from outside to inside. And it's 24 by 7 by 365 from now for the rest of your life. And it will never be otherwise. Just like this is always that way. It's never otherwise, all right? Now, how can you make that transformation? How can you make that paradigm shift? That's a paradigm shift. One way is to sit yourself down and notice it happens to be the truth that it doesn't work. One way doesn't work, the other way is what works. When you are sitting there and your mind shuts up and you're experiencing that part of you that is just beautiful, isn't that beautiful part? That love and that part that feels nature and deep meditation part that you go back and touch. It's really very beautiful, isn't it? That's there all the time. So your solution is to go there and stay there and drink off of that. You are drinking off the flow of the beauty that you are in your being, instead of struggling and whining and doing what you can to try and make this petty little stuff work that your mind came up with that doesn't work anyways. No one has ever failed. You know that? Everyone has these saying, oh, well, you failed. No one has ever failed. And no one has ever succeeded. Why? The ones who say they succeeded, the moment they reach that success, they're back wanting something else. They're still not okay. And the people who say they failed, they couldn't have possibly failed because what they were trying to do didn't work anyways. So just the whole thing you give up on. One way works, the other way doesn't. That's how you learn to do this. You be an intelligent, rational human being. You can take your mind with you. Truth happens to fit in the mind. The truth is, one way works, the other doesn't. All I ask you is to watch. Watch what you're going through. Here, I'll paint the picture one more time, then we're going to move on. You're thirsty. Very thirsty. You haven't drunk well for a long time. And I go visit you. And you're living in a very, very interesting place. It's fascinating. Where you stand, there's a lot of rocks. Lots of rocks. The whole area around you is like these flat rocks. And the sun is very, very hot there. And it is beating on those rocks. And it's very dry. And it's just rocks and sand. Rocks and sand. And you are so thirsty. And I watch you, and you have all these blisters on your lips, and you've been out there sucking on rocks. What you do is you get up in the morning early before the sun goes, try to get any moisture you possibly can. And every once in a while, there'll be some moisture on the rock. You don't understand it, but there'll be some there, and you try to look, and it's like you are really having a major problem. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like aghast. Because you know where you are? You're on the beach of a natural lake. It's 3 feet behind you. But you're looking at the beach where the rocks and the sand is. And this gorgeous, beautiful place. And that's once in a while the wind blows and sprays a little water on your rocks. There's a little dew that goes on. 3 feet behind you is the lagoon, is the lake. That's what's going on. Exactly that. You have behind you anything and everything that you would ever want, need, dream of in any way, shape, or form. The most beautiful love, peace, harmony, fulfillment, contentment. No problems with drinking once you hit the lake. You have in front of you that which doesn't work. Every once in a while it seems to. A little spray gets on it or something. Okay? That's your moments I've been talking to you about. That is what's going on. Now you have to decide. You want to keep doing this? You want to keep sucking on rocks? Because while you're out there looking at those rocks and sucking on those rocks, it's drawing your attention in the wrong direction. You won't now look behind you. Why? You might miss some spray. So the yogi is the one, the true spiritual seeker, is the one who actually has caught on to this. Not be some emotional thing, let's go have a satori, or, one experience, or do I have a vision, or, So it's like they understand that is there, that they are that. And they understand the emptiness of the dryness of trying to do out here what can't be done out here. All right? How long will it take before you understand that as well as you understand anything, and you will never forget it, and that's just how it is, and there's no more emotion left, and it's not, oh, come on, just one more try. Go do all your tries, do whatever you want. Can you imagine that? Somebody sits there and says, just turn around. What do you mean turn? You see the lake. Oh my God. Then you come back and say, oh, let me just try once more to get it off the rock. What? Go for it. Knock yourself out, all right? I mean, it's like, wow. When will the time come where you are no longer saying, let me try once more? Even your fears are only fears because you frame them in relationship to your problem. You're afraid that your boyfriend might cheat on you. The very fact that you use the relationship with your boyfriend to try and hide from the part of you that was not okay. So while he was being nice to you and being loyal and everything was going nice, then it worked. What? Feeling that I didn't have to be as insecure and that he was going to help take care of me and that this was going to be the solution to my not okayness. Right, that person out there was going to be the solution to your indwelling, that's always been there before you ever met him, problem of not so okay. Not a chance, but we won't discuss that. So now you say the problem is because he or she went out and did something else, your fear of that, right? Because you fear it will destroy you. So now fear got linked to desire. That's what your fears are. There are no fears if what you want is the lake. You don't have to be afraid that some spray will hit the rock. You have to be afraid that someone will come and steal your rocks. You don't have to be afraid of anything. You understand that? There's plenty of water. So that when your entire goal becomes to fall back, that's why it's back, because the lake is behind you. If your entire goal is to fall back into that place inside of you, then not only do your desires fall off, your fears fall off. They go hand in hand. When will you reach the point that never again will you ever forget that that's what you want, and that's who you are, and there are no compromises, and there's no all but, or, you're not even keeping a little toe in. Why would you keep a toe on those dry rocks when you're starting to walk into that lake? All it's going to do is keep you from going the whole way, isn't it? Now you're even in the lake. Wow, what a difference. In drinking the water, you're in the water, right? Can you imagine just submerging yourself? You don't do that. I can't do that. Why? Well, someone could take the rocks. Who cares about the rocks? You're not done yet. You're not willing to totally let go of the old way to experience the real way. You will reach a point where you realize it's futile, it's empty, it's transient, it's not going to do it. The other is whole and complete and it's real. You must devote yourself, the whole of yourself, to going into the lake completely. And ultimately, going under. Because that's when the real magic happens. It's not even the real magic, as unbelievable as it seems, that you walk from the barren, hot, dry rocks and sand, backing up into this lake, where it overwhelms you, and it's cool and beautiful. That's when you feel the love, that's when you feel the peace. That's wonderful. I'm glad you're okay. That's the beginning, not the end of your journey inside. That was like you just touched the shores of the inside. Go under. Go under. And something happens. When you stop even staying conscious enough to stay focused on the old way, that part of your being goes away. The personal disappears. It's not that you get behind it. I told you, I don't like to tell you it'll go away because then you think it's supposed to. It's fine with me if you think it's supposed to stay there. It's fine. Just don't be attached to it. Just walk away from it. But it will go away. When you fall back far enough, for long enough, into that lagoon, into that, and are willing to go under, there is no longer a need for the personal. The personal got created as a solution to the problem of the soul that it's lost. When the soul is willing to release that, now the real stuff starts to happen. You start to understand who you are. In other words, the first step is I'm okay. The second is who am I? Who is this that is now okay? And that's realization. Those are your path back. Those are your stages as you walk your way back inside. You are not going to get inside while you keep your eye outside. But that doesn't mean you renounce the world. The world will continue to go about its business, and it will include you. Don't worry. There will be friends, and there will be this, and there may be marriage, and there may be children, there may be finance, there may be no finances. There'll be everything. Everything everybody else has will still happen to you. But it will happen around you, at you. It won't really happen to you. You'll just be aware of it. You're going in. That's what you're doing. Others are trying to make it happen. You're not trying to make it happen, or trying to make it not happen. You're not. You're going in. And then you realize not only are you not trying to make it happen or not happen, when your whole being is toward going in, you will realize that you use what's going on to help get rid of yourself. That's what it means to die to be reborn. You literally, every day of your life, let go of parts of you that were left. You surrender them through. Why? Because all you want is liberation. It's not a game. Spirituality is not a game. It's serious stuff. It's like dying to be reborn. That's some serious stuff. That's not romantic talk, right? Dying to be reborn. The willingness to release the personal aspect of your being, because that's what's keeping you looking out and stopping you from falling in. And since all you want is in anyways, and since the out doesn't work, I think God, when God set this up, he didn't think it was going to be this complicated. It's like we set up a game. And he made it like, oh, let's make it so they always win. Hide and seek with little kids. So, it's like, you don't really, hide on the other side of the moon or something and see if they can build a rocket ship and go find you. Not if you're playing with a 3-year-old. That's not reasonable. You kind of hide in the other room, in a chair or something, all right? It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to, gotcha, found you. It's supposed to be fun. So God figures he's setting up this thing. He'll go get lost. I'm going to put this whole lake with all the water in the whole place right behind them. And in front of them, I don't want it to be even close. I'm going to put dry, parched sand and hot rocks. And even to walk on them is burning, right? And I'll have a breeze come in from behind every once in a while. Hello, view, right? Like they wouldn't have any trouble finding it. Wow, is here for a surprise. How did that happen? It's true what I just said. That's the difference. That's what's set up. You do suffer every moment of your life. And if you ever touch that place back there, all suffering ends instantaneously on that moment you touch it. It only comes back as you go back to the burning sands. And you sit there like, wow, how did that happen? And now you look at it, if you really look at it that way, and it is that way, by the way, then every once in a while he says, I can't believe they can't find it. I put it right behind them. It's just right there. And it's so beautiful, and the other is so ugly. There's so much pain and suffering, and every time they go out and try to do it the other way, I get zapped, like Skinner, conditioned response, right? You get zapped, don't you? Right? It's hilarious. But no one gets this. And then they say, okay, all right, I guess it's time. I better go down and remind them, because, man, they are really dumb. This is just unbelievable. So he drops down as Buddha, or drops down as Christ, or drops down as somebody, right? So we'll drop down here, we'll walk around and say, hello, it's inside. It's inside. Everybody's out there trying to get the water, this kind of stuff. And he said, oh, man. And finally I said, well, where are you going? He goes, to walk back in the lake. He says, where I go, you can't follow. And then he goes and he gets in it, and then he actually goes under, like I was telling you. He goes under and he merges. His personal thesis. And he says, may they know the oneness in thee as I've known the one. He's just like, come on, it's right here. It's right behind you. Just stop putzing around out there. How? The main ingredient, the essential aspect of your liberation is you have to want to be liberated. You can take all the techniques you want. It ain't going to mean squat. As long as you still think that it's out there, they're not going to do nothing for you. They'll just be something you do in the morning or make you feel good. You have to have caught on. It don't work. And the other does. I ain't stupid. Right? That's why I ain't stupid. That's why I tell you there's no renunciation. You're not giving anything up. I'll tell you what. The only way you can go into the lake is if you renounce licking the red hot rocks. You have to renounce them. That's not renunciation. It's just like wake up. Hello, it doesn't work. And so the lake works. This doesn't. Got it? The self works. The inner being, the essence, the beauty, Satchidanand inside works. This whole personal stuff doesn't. You will be challenged on a daily basis whether you want to keep putzing with the personal stuff or whether you want to release the personal stuff. You will be challenged on a daily basis. Situations will unfold and you will feel your not okayness take place. And you will notice the process I just discussed coming up in your mind and coming up with this whole thing about what you need to be doing to fix the problem inside. And you'll go out and do it again and again. Or you will look at it and say, there will be no more again. I will not waste one situation that unfolds in my life that reminds me that this is what's going on without letting go of at least a chunk of that pull to try to do it that way. How? You don't do it that way. When everything in your being wants to do it that way, you don't do it that way. You let go. You sit there. You look at it. You say, it doesn't work. I'm going to start walking backwards where I've never been before, toward where I think the lake is. And when, yet again, I see a sparkle on the rock, and I think it could be wet, and I'm not going to run back. Because you know what happens when you run back. You don't go out. It's that simple. You can't be doing both. You ain't doing both. You ain't keep running back to those rocks to try and get it that way, because then you're not walking back. You just keep walking back. It's that simple. Just keep walking back. The Guru's just there telling you, keep walking. No, don't tell you. That's all he would tell you. Keep walking back. Yeah, but just keep walking back. Don't think, don't analyze. Just keep walking back, and your feet will hit that water. And you go, whoa, whoa. I'm telling you, even once your feet start to feel the wet, you'll still feel the urges to walk back. You have to completely and utterly let go. Period. And what will be taken from you is the ignorance that is binding you to this ignorant way of doing things. Why would you not let your ignorance go? There's nothing to be afraid of. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing can happen in this world that can touch the self. It is the solution to any problem you ever had. So what is there to be afraid of? People can die, people can be born, finances can change, things can change, all kinds of things can happen. It doesn't matter. Since they are not your solution, they are not your problem. That's the key. So you just keep going back. It's that simple. When you are committed to that, you will grow very, very quickly. And you don't even have to wait till you're actually in the water. The closer you get, the more you feel its coolness and its breeze is feeding you, till you get that Shakti flowing inside of you all the time, never stops. You just feel the strength and the flow inside. And it beckons you, it calls you. Just like that lake would call you, even if you couldn't see it. You just feel it behind you, don't you? Go there. Master said, go there and drown yourself in it. Jai Gurudev.